listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
We're still in first place. Texas Tech Red Raider first place basketball team. Nothing's changed. Full steam ahead. That's what's up.
That's just not true.
Well, we're tied in first place by the record, but yeah, I guess Houston would technically own the tiebreaker because they beat Tech by 20-something points.
They are 6-2 Big 12 record, at least according to the Big 12 website.
Oh,
Texas Tech is 5-2. So
wow.
Texas Tech is tied for second with Iowa State.
Well, 5-2 is a better winning percentage.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's fine. Math is hard. I only say that because I have the sheet in front of me.
Oh, okay.
750 for Houston, 714 for Texas Tech. Houston is 19-2 overall. Texas Tech 16-4. Not that I want to get into 4-1, but 16 wins to 4 losses ain't bad, man.
What do you say? I mean, we should jump right into the TCU game, but before we get too far, last week we talked about how great it would be to split these two. Remember, your demeanor does not.
We did it, y'all.
Yeah, it was. I think Tech was projected to lose them both.
Mm-hmm. And we're like, let's just split it.
Yeah, let's just. I mean, that's ideal. That'd be great. And as it always turns out, the thing you wished for happened, and it sucks.
And you wanted more.
But
yeah, so let's talk about why it sucks that you split. You had a 9-point lead in the first half.
A couple times, right?
A couple times. And you got chaos with the ball. Unlike in the Oklahoma game, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but there were stretches of the Oklahoma game where it felt like Oklahoma was going through a little bit of a shooting slump, and the Texas Tech players on the floor wanted to capitalize and bury Oklahoma, and they would just get frantic and run up the court and just jack up unsmart shot attempts. Just bad shots, and they would clank and miss, and you're like, oh dang. And it helped that Oklahoma could just continue to miss, but you just weren't running your offense. You weren't running anything that would capitalize on that. You wanted the knockout kill shot, and it wasn't falling. For tonight, part of it was TCU had two possessions go back to back. They weren't threes. They were both twos. Or maybe the first one was a 3. Anyways, they hit a shot, you miss, they hit a shot. And then I don't know if it was explained or caught or anything else. I know it was a very heavy topic of discussion in the Discord. Texas Tech was called for a foul on the floor, but the score bug showed TCU got the 2 points from the shot that went in after the foul. And we're like, okay, well then they'll just review it and fix it because TCU maintained possession of the ball. Like, well, if they got a foul on the shot, then they would have gotten a free throw, and that would have been Texas Tech ball. If it was before the shot, then yeah, TCU would have kept possession of the ball, which they did, and subsequently made another shot, but they would have taken the 2 points off the board. Never did. The possible explanation was that it was a foul after the shot. or like after the ball went through, but like it wasn't a late whistle. It wasn't like it was the ball's through the hoop and like they're getting ready to get the ball inbound and then there's a whistle. No, it was like it seemed it was a part of the shooting action. So that was strange. Got TC within 3 or 4 points at that point. And then later, I think it was early second half, Pop Isaacs hits that 3 and gets called for the flop. Looked like he was fouled in the process there, at least in the sense that his legs were taken out from underneath him as he was coming down.
I think the announcers even
they said it was a bad foul.
They I think they
Which
agreed.
They don't
with
always
that.
know anything, right? Like I'm not saying, well,
Sure.
the announcers they said it was a foul. I was like, well, no, but all the replays showed like, yeah, the TCU dude kind of took out Isaac's legs when he's coming down, and didn't give him a spot to land. Which in football terms, like they protect the landing spot for kickers. Same kind of thing. He was kicking, right?
Yeah. Kicking out.
So what should have been 3 points for Tech and then a free throw, where it's 3 points for Tech, 2 for TCU on the free throw, and then they kept possession and then hit that shot. So it was like, there's 5 points and an 8-point loss. Like, yes, we're talking about 5 points, and it was spread out. Like, it wasn't like all at once. And can't say Tech's not without fault. You can't survive games giving up 21 to 3 runs. You just can't do it. You can't continue to give up huge runs.
They've gotten lucky, but the luck ran out
until tonight. Yeah, like you're not gonna survive every 20-0 run. 21-3.
Tech has to make a stop. They've got to make a bucket. They got to do something in a 6-minute stretch. It's not too much to ask to make a bucket or make a stop, but we've seen it in almost every Big 12 game. Just these massive scoring droughts, to where I'm almost thinking like, well, that's just the nature of college basketball, right? No, there's a lot of games where
it's the nature of Texas Tech basketball.
Yes, I think so. I think the fact that it's just every game we've watched doesn't mean that it's happening everywhere else. But the other thing you can't do is go on the road and have your point guard turn it over 8 times. Not the greatest recipe for success. The end of the game, it was the Isaacs and the Walton show. They stepped up. They were awesome. Washington coming out of the half was incredible. Tied the game on some really good plays. Isaacs had an alley-oop over 2 defenders from the top of the key somehow to Washington. I mean, it was just, you felt like things were going the right direction, and then TCU just went on another run, on a 10-0 run, rattled one off in like a minute and a half, and that was pretty much that. The Tech was able to get close there at the end, like you said, with some good plays, but I just didn't. I'm a little concerned with Toussaint's output right now. He's struggled a little bit lately. His last few games, the Big 12 has not been super friendly. So it's still pretty good as far as points. His last 5 games in the Big 12, 12 points, 9, 5, 14 against LU. But then tonight, only winding up with 6 points on 1 of 3 shooting. He made 4 free throws, which is great. 4 of 4, he was perfect. But he had more turnovers than points, and that's where you start to lose ball games. His last stretch. So tonight he had 8 turnovers. Game before it was 4. Game before that was 1. And the game before that was 4. So just kind of not a great trend we're seeing, but I feel like giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, and what do you think, Spencer? Are you kind of in that same
I
camp of he'll just let him work through it. He'll be fine. He did have like 6 assists tonight, I think. I had that pulled up. Of course, I've got like 9 windows open like usual. Let me see here.
I was
9 assists. He had 9 assists.
I was patient when Isaacs was slumping early in the season. Because it felt like it was only one aspect of his game too. It wasn't like compounding or whatever. With Toussaint, it's like he's not scoring, and he's turning it over a bunch. And tonight it was just like lazy passes. It was throwing it into the stands when nobody was standing there, or like I even remember, was it Washington? Like he had the ball down low and then threw it out to Toussaint, who was like not expecting the ball, and the ball just goes right past him. I was like, oh look, there it goes. I'm
It
a
almost
little,
happened after a made bucket too.
yeah, I'm little less patient with it having, like, with it affecting multiple aspects of a game, especially from a point guard, right? Like you're supposed to be either a scorer or a distributor, or you're supposed to make things happen. And early in the season, when Isaacs was struggling, man, it was Toussaint. He was doing everything. He was carrying the team. It was his team. Um, and you would love to see some of that dog in him back. Um, but like right now, it's just like, at least offensively, I can't. I don't know specifically about defense for Toussaint, but offensively, man, it's a struggle. And he's playing a lot of minutes to be playing the way he is. Um, and just going back to the runs for tonight, like it felt like, one, TCU shot lights out all night, and it was just like, if you had any hiccup in your offensive game, it was just it happened so fast, right? Like um that the 21-3 run happened in 4 minutes. 4 minutes, Michael. You went from up 11 to down 7 in 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You had a chance maybe on 3 in there. Otherwise, it would have been 21 to 3. It would have been 21-0.
Well, in that 3 he took, I remember talking to my television like, "Oh no, oh," and then it went in because I think it was a really early possession
Mm-hmm.
3.
It was a
It may
fast
have
break
been,
3. Yeah.
yeah, it was him and maybe 1 defender or 2 defenders or something, and he I mean, it was perfect. He swished it, but the whole time I was like, no, 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 no. Oh, okay, it went in. Good.
Yeah. So you ended the half down 4, although I would argue it should have been down 2, because that was the um
The
when
phantom
was it?
points. The goaltend that didn't happen,
It
even though it
was
wasn't even a goaltend.
uh, you talking about OU?
Oh, well, I think I would call that a goaltend. I'm just trying to find out how you count 2 points when the play had stopped before
It
if
was,
it was
so
truly on the floor.
it was in the middle of that run. So PV hit a 3 to get it down to where they were down by 6. Then they hit then PV it was on a fast break. He was given the jumper, so they're down 4, and then 26 seconds later, um, Coles hit another layup to get it down to 2. So it was right there. You went from down 9, or sorry, TCU was down 9 to down 2 when some suspect officiating happened. And then in the second half, it was where was it? Isaac's 3-pointer. Was it with 4 minutes to go? No, because that's when he got pulled into within 5. It was earlier than that, I felt. Or did they miss the 3? I don't remember. I don't remember. I may have made up what happened after the Isaac's 3-pointer.
Well, if it didn't count, it wouldn't be
No,
on there.
sorry. Nope. Yeah, sorry. It is. It was 11:27. Isaac's hit the 3-pointer. And then Tennyson hit a free throw at 11:26, which is the technical there. And then Tennyson again hit a layup 10:58. So 30 seconds after that, which is they ran the shot clock down to the end. So they had, instead of being 4 points for Tech, it was 3 points for TCU. And then the next possession, it was an and one. So they it was
Tech shouldn't have fouled him.
It's a 5-point swing there because Isaacs was fouled on the shot when he was shooting 3. Sorry, when he shot the 3. So he could have had a 4th point there. Tennyson got the technical free throw, made that. Then he hit the layup, fouled on that, and then made the free throw. So yeah, that was a fun little back and forth. And then it got interesting there with that last minute. You got it down to 3 points when Kerwin Walton hit that 3 to make it 78-81. And then you tried to hack a shack, and Coles hit all 4 of his free throws there at the end.
Yeah, and I'd been bragging on McCaslin hanging on to those timeouts, but man, he was out. He used his last one with 2 minutes left. And so for that last 2 minutes, that stretch, I mean, his guys played well and made good plays. And I'm sure he was coaching his tail off, but he was out of timeouts in a close game at the end. And I don't know if that would have made or broken anything because of TCU's ability to get to the line and make those free throws. Well, not ability to get to the line. They were intentionally being fouled to shoot them, but they were making them. And I don't know if more timeouts would have helped or not, but I just found that interesting. I've been bragging on him this whole time, and then he didn't have any with 2 minutes left. You feel like, that might have been handy. That might have been helpful.
Yeah, and at that point, it felt like there were times when like he was coaching as they were about to inbound, right? So like he was telling like, hey, this is what you need to be doing. But even then, like there wasn't really set up, and there were stretches where like you expect them to foul, and like looked like we were going to foul, but then didn't. Like
Right.
we're just letting TCU run clock here, and like
we're getting 7 seconds off. If you're just going to foul anyway, just do it the second it comes in bounds. Yeah. Whoever catches it, fine. It's not the guy you want to foul, but do it. Just get it over with.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll miss. I don't know.
TCU hit 32 free throw attempts tonight. 32. Talk about some scoring issues, some officiating issues. Excuse me.
Come on. 12 of those were intentional fouls in the last 3 minutes.
Okay, but to that point, Michael, if you take away 12, then it's a 20-14 disparity there.
They were the home team. We don't ever complain when it's that way in Lubbock, do we? Happens all the time. Home team always shoots more free throws.
Yeah,
Tech should have been more aggressive.
Also,
Toussaint shot 3 shots.
Tech not getting into the paint very well.
He shot 3 shots. It was fouled on 2 of them. He should have shot more. There should have been doing a lot less chunking threes. Of course, then they had to at the end.
Speaking of chunking threes, former Red Raider Micah Peavy, 4 for 4 on the night.
You know, it took him 3 years, but he got his revenge. Not that I think he even really cares about that anymore. And there's no one on that team that was there when he was.
Yeah.
3 years ago, and McCaslin doesn't care, and
he didn't even know his name.
Anyway, yeah, only us care.
0. Yeah, it was a good shooter tonight.
But yeah, I think I think they brought up in the broadcast that all the previous matchups combined, he'd scored 12 points total.
Yeah,
until
12
tonight.
and 3 points.
Yeah, something like that.
12 and 3s tonight. So you lose a game that you had a shot to. I mean, you didn't lead at all in the second half. You got it to a tie.
Mm-hmm.
You tied it with 17:45, 17:21 to go. But TCU had as many as or as large as a 12-point lead 5 minutes later. So you go from tied at 17 minutes down by 12 at 12 minutes to go. They had an 11-point lead, TCU did, at 5:50 to go. And then with about 4 minutes of game time, you got that down to 3. Through 4 minutes of game time, you got down to 3 with 19 seconds. Made it interesting, but Coles did not miss his free throws. And then offensively, again, maybe if you had a timeout there at the end, maybe would have had a better set there, because it was very obvious, like, we're gonna get the ball to Isaacs and we're gonna get a 3, or secondarily we're gonna look for Walton, and those two things were covered. You did try to get a lob dunk into to Warren Washington. That was one of the plays where
Just
Toussaint
a fluke.
just threw it into the stands.
Well, but
Washington may have slipped, but
yeah, Washington was almost on the ground when that pass came through. So just a real fluke there. The Tau people didn't do their job. That's this Tailgate. That's what we should do.
What is it with TCU and towels, man?
Or TCU and just water.
Ankles.
Just water everywhere.
Wetness,
places,
moistness.
Yeah, places where it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's 3 sports now.
Yeah.
Hey, at least Jamie Dixon didn't trip one of our players and break an ankle.
It's true.
He seemed a lot more restrained closer to the sidelines on it. He wasn't as egregious on the court as he has been when he tripped. Was it McCullough? He tripped in the corner and he rolled his ankle.
McCullough came down, and they should have called a foul on
Dixon
because he didn't allow him to land.
Yeah. So you drop this game 85-78. You you move to 5-2 in Big 12 play. Back at home this weekend with Cincinnati. Last weekend, I was well, we talked about how Saturday was the day of birthday parties. I watched as much as I could as I bounced between Blazing Bouncers and Altitude.
Yeah.
And I was on Hayden duty, which is a full job, a full-time job at Altitude. So we're in the middle of a birthday party in the middle of Altitude, and I'm in charge of keeping up with a 3-year-old. But I've also got the game on my phone. So I watched or had the game up probably the last 10 minutes of the second half. But that was also the time when he was the most active. So I wasn't able to catch a whole lot of it. Ultimately, why we didn't end up recording is because I haven't watched any of this game. But Texas Tech does get the win on the road. So as we talked about at the top of the show, you did get the split there on the road. You took down number 11 Oklahoma in Norman, 85-84. Although they hit a 3 as the time expired to make it look a lot closer. Texas Tech did have the lead. We were able to hit some free throws there at the end to extend and then hold the lead there to ice the game. Oklahoma hits a 3 to make it look closer, but essentially you had a 4-point win. Again, like, let me see if there was a big scoring drought. It feels like every game there's a big scoring drought. So
there was in the first half. I think the score was on 17 for what felt like 30 minutes. Texas Tech was up by 9 or 8, 17-9 or 17-8, whatever it was. And then Oklahoma just kept scoring, and Texas Tech had 17 forever for the longest time. So there was definitely a drought there in the first half.
Yeah, you got it by 8, 17-9, and then Oklahoma went on a 12-0 run, got up by 4 before you hit a 3. Well, you traded threes. Then you hit a free throw, and then
it was like
Oklahoma
a 20-something to 4 run. I can't remember.
And then Oklahoma put up 6 more points. So they went from down 8 to up 9 with it took them 8 minutes to do it.
And Texas Tech that's what was so painful. It was just so slow and painful.
Let's see. That was in the first half. So run tracker period 1. (17-9). We'll start there, and then 21-4 run for Oklahoma over 9.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You scored 4 points in 9.5 minutes.
It just seemed like there was no way that Tech was going to get out of that. And then, of course, they did. I mean, Isaacs came through at the end, most of it off from the line, 9 of 10 from shooting free throws. McMillan was the big story of the game coming off the bench. 32 minutes. Kerwin Walton was kind of off. He wasn't off. He was 3 for 3 and 1 for 1. I mean, he didn't miss a shot, but he didn't get a lot of time. I think he fouled out.
He fouled out. Yeah.
I knew that it felt like it, and it was pretty early too. I think 7 or 8 minutes left. He was still playing with 4 fouls, and I guess that was okay at the time, but he didn't miss a shot. But McMillan came in 10 of 13 from the field, 6 of 8 from 3, made his only free throw, 27 points and 8 rebounds, almost a double-double off the bench. And Darian Williams grabbed 11 rebounds himself.
But he was 2 for 10 from the field.
Yeah, not the best on offensive side, but man, he was by far the rebound leader. And Tech held their own, 32 rebounds to OU's 34.
But held their own. We're only down a couple.
Yeah, only a couple. We'll take it. But it was one of those games that I just never knew what was going to happen until you finally started to breathe a little bit. I didn't really breathe until Tech was up 4 with 2 point whatever seconds left.
Yeah.
And McCaslin's just going over there, don't foul, don't even like he's just hollering, don't. It's clear away from them. And it's a really good thing he did when their last shot's a drained 3. That'd have been awful if there'd have been anybody even close enough to blow a whistle on.
Yeah.
So they go into Norman and win.
Yeah, and
playing with house money, rolling into Fort Worth. We're excited, right? We're happy.
Yeah, with 7.5 minutes to go, you were down 9 on the road, down 9, 7 minutes to go. Come back, and let's see, you tied it 2:52. So what's that? 4.5 minutes. You erased that 9-point deficit, and then it was back and forth, up 2, down 1, up 2, up 3. Once you took the lead with 1:27 to go on a 3, where you went from down 1 to up 2, you never let it go. And then Suarez hit that 3 with, no time.
Yeah, he had a really big first half, but then really quiet second half.
Yeah, he led the Sooners in scoring, 19 points, 27 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 4 of 6 from the line, 10 rebounds. Was the only Sooner with double-digit rebounds. Sam Godwin, their big guy, had 8. Owe had 6. McCollum had 7 points. Owe had 14. Godwin had 13. Uzan had 13. man. So you split it, which going into the week we were hopeful for. But it felt like tonight the game was like frustrating in so many different ways. It wasn't like, oh, you just like you're getting beat on the glass. It was weird fouls and weird officiating at times, and they had a hot shooting night. You couldn't, you know, if you missed, it was a very quick 4, 5, 6 point swing on one possession, one bad offensive possession.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating because Tech shot well. I mean, they shot 52% from the field. They shot 50% from three, but turned the ball over too many times and lost the rebound battle by 7. And then, of course, had to resort to fouling a team that's not traditionally, but this year, not the best free throw shooting team, but they stepped it up at the end when it started to count. Because there for a while, I thought, oh man, they're bricking all these. This is great. But then that last 4 or 5 minutes, they shored up and started making almost all of them. Like, oh, okay. Well,
so
I don't think we're going to get out of this hole now.
They bricked those ones that allowed Tech to get within 3.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, here we go. And then they hit the last 4.
Yeah. Then it was perfection. Great.
Yeah. Good times. So you're back at home this weekend. Saturday, 5 p.m. hosting Cincinnati, who they're 14-6, 3-4 so far this season, but they're 28th in Haslam. You're 29th. They're right there. They're not a bad team despite their record. They're playing at West Virginia tomorrow night, Wednesday night at 6 p.m. If you want to check out that game, see how they're doing. Man, they are. It's weird because like you look at it and you're like, there are things about them that may be scary, but then like it's hard to pinpoint just one thing, right? Like they're a decent shooting team. They shoot 45% from the field. You shoot 46%. They're okay at the 3. They're 33%. You're almost 37%. They give up about the same number of points you do on the season. You're 67.2. They're 66.5. They go to the free throw line about as many times as you do, a little bit more, 19.6 to your 19.4. They're terrible shooting the free throws, though. 67%, you're 78%. What really could help keep Cincinnati in I say keep. What could be a key to how they do is rebounding, Michael. They are on the season, they average almost 42 rebounds a game. You're averaging 35. They allow 31.5 rebounds per game. So they're not, like I said, they're not bad shooting team, but like it felt like the same thing with TCU night. It felt like they were pulling down everything.
Oh yeah, that's a 10 rebound difference. I mean, that's really dominating.
Yeah,
to out rebound your opponent by 10 on average.
They're led in rebounds per game by forward Aziz Bandaogo. I'm butchering that. He's a 7-footer from Senegal. Almost 8 points a game, 8.3 rebounds, shooting 65% from the field. So a lot of stuff down low for him. But 7 foot, 235. And then forward Victor Lakin, 6'11", 240 from Russia. He adds a little bit of an offensive game as well to his 7.5 rebounds per game, 12.7 points per game. He adds in a half block per game.
I've got a fun stat for you.
Okay.
Out of, let's see, since he's lost 4 Big 12 games?
Sorry, I was on mute. So far, yes.
Okay. Out of those 4 Big 12 games, none of them have been above single digits. So
they're losing a bunch of close games.
yes, and their probably their biggest win. Well, let me see. Yeah, their biggest win was the opener at BYU. They won 71-60 on the road. They lost at home to Texas by 1. Then they went to Waco, lost to Waco by 3.
They lost to Waco.
Lost to Waco. Yeah, the city of Waco fields a wonderful basketball team. Yeah, they lost to Baylor by 3. Hosted TCU, won by 4. So they actually beat TCU 81-77 at home.
In overtime.
Yep. Was that in overtime?
Mm-hmm.
It's not saying it. Who knows? I don't trust my screen. I've got it minimized, so it's weird. Oklahoma, they hosted them next. Lost by 4, 65-69. Went into Lawrence, Kansas. Lost by 5, 69-74. But then took care of business at home, hosting UCF, winning 68-57. So every game they've lost have been by 5 or less points in Big 12
and every
play.
game they won has been close too.
Yeah.
Well, no, sorry.
I mean, BYU was the biggest.
Yeah, but by 11. Then they won by 4.
UCF same. Yeah. But they've. I just feel like they're a team that's fitting in nicely in the Big 12. Of ignore the record. They are going to be someone who can compete with anybody, top to bottom, the entire night, or the entire conference.
Yeah.
So like that Kansas game, I think we talked about it on the podcast. I mean, it was tied at halftime. Kansas ended up winning by 4. It's not like, I mean, there may be something I'm missing because I didn't go back and watch the actual game, but I do think it was a close game the whole time, as far as I know.
Yeah. I don't know what I was going to say. They turn the ball over just a little bit more than Texas Tech does, 11.5 to 10.5 for Texas Tech. Other than that, I mean, fairly evenly matched. Haslametrics has this as a 3-point win for Texas Tech. I would say because you're back at home, which is big. You got 2 very close. I mean, they're 29th to 28th ranked teams, rated teams here. So, be a close one. It should be a good game if you can keep them off the glass or limit them at least. Then your next one will be Tuesday night, 8 p.m. So it'll be a late one at Waco.
Yeah, at Waco, against Waco. The fighting Wacos.
They're sliding a little bit. They've lost their most recent 3, but they are, and they're on the road at UCF tomorrow night, 6 p.m. So you can flip back and forth over on your app between Cincinnati and West Virginia, and Baylor UCF. Keep up with your next couple opponents. They are 20th in Haslametrics with a projected loss for Texas Tech here, about 5 points on the road there in the new Farrell Center. Is it Farrell?
I thought that was the old place.
Farrell?
Is that where it is now?
Cat?
No, it's Farrell.
Farrell, because Moody is Texas. Anyways, their high school looking volleyball court, because everything is smaller in Waco.
You gotta dig. You gotta dig there when you can.
Sure.
They built an arena Scott Drew sized.
There you go. They're still so dang good offensively. They're 86 points a game, giving up 71, shooting 49% from the field. Plus side is they're not all that great at defending a shooting team. They allow teams to shoot 44.5%. They close out pretty well on threes, I guess. They only allow teams to shoot 31%. Baylor is leading or at least is ahead of Texas Tech in 3-point percentage. They're at 39.4. Texas Tech is at 36.8. They get to the free throw line a ton, 22.5 attempts per game, and they're hitting 72%. Rebounding, they're not, they're 37 rebounds a game to Texas Tech 35, so a slight advantage there, but they're good at boxing out, only allowing teams to rebound 30. They turn the ball over a little bit more, but they also force one more turnover than Texas Tech does. So if your defense is there, which has been a thing that you haven't been able to count on so much when your offense has turned it on, it's been weird. You haven't had both sides of that firing at the same time. It felt like early season your defense was ahead of your offense. Now that your offense has come together, you found Isaacs and McMillan, Darian Williams, Walton at not times. Washington has been a scorer, but defensively it seems like it's kind of slipped a little bit. You'll need it facing another high output team in Baylor next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. So we'll hit record, then watch the second half with you, give you an instant reaction as it's happening, and then get you ready for baseball because well, not that weekend, but yes. Yes?
I don't know. You tell me.
Baseball is coming soon, everybody. When's it start? What's the first day? The 16th. So the week after. So we'll do the whole preseason projections, predictions, all that kind of stuff. Of the real quick on baseball, of the publications and groups that have put out preseason rankings, Texas Tech is in the top 28 of all three of them, because Perfect Game does a top 40, and you're 28 in that one, but you're top 25 in the one and the other one that's already out. I can't remember, but we'll do baseball here pretty soon. Do you have anything else, Michael, on Oklahoma or TCU?
I don't
Cincinnati,
think so.
I guess.
I mean, no, and just to kind of echo what you said about Baylor, they're just a really talented team on offense, and they have 5 guys who average over 10 points, and one of them is off the bench. So
Nice.
Langston Love, he's played 18 games. He's started 0, but he's averaging 11.6 points a game.
How is Chachua still there? Let's look at their stats.
He's not playing that much.
He's only played 10 games. And I don't know if he's hurt. He started 2. How is he still there?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's battling back from something or what, but yeah, this is going to be like maybe not quite as 3-point heavy as BYU, but an offense that's going to give you fits.
He's a graduate student. There you go.
Okay.
He's 28 years old. Feels like 6'8", 250 from Cameroon. Yeah.
That's all I got on basketball. If you want to talk some football?
Let's talk football, because you know what came out today, Michael?
What's that?
The Big 12 released the football schedule for 2024.
Yeah, they did.
So let's sell some season tickets for 2025 and just get through this home slate. Because it's not good, it's not good. I don't like it, and it's probably
it's back heavy. It's back heavy. Like
it's a product of just the new Big 12, but
yeah. But the fact that Texas Tech's last 2 home games are versus Colorado and versus West Virginia, I'm okay with that.
Your last home game is never mind. I was reading the West Virginia as an away game. I was like, your last home game is the November 9th?
Nah.
Of course, we couldn't get away from playing Iowa State in Iowa in November. Would love to get that fixed at some point. Maybe like if we're gonna play them on the road, let's play them in September. October even, but no, we had to go up there in November. So your schedule is August 31st, home versus Abilene Christian, Michael's second favorite team.
Yay! Love the Wildcats.
Taking on Keith Patterson and Maverick McIver. Then on the road, Washington State. Hopefully your transfer receiver you took from them will have a big game. They're up in Pullman. September 7th. Home versus North Texas on the 14th. 21st, home versus Arizona State. So you get a 3-game stretch, 3 weeks in a row, home games. 14th, 21st, 28th. So you go North Texas, Arizona State, Cincinnati. October 5th at Arizona, and then you get a bye week. Well, guess what, Michael? There are 2 bye weeks on this calendar. 2.
And no Thursday games or Friday games.
No
They're
Thursday,
all
Friday games.
Saturday games. Yes.
And it's not like I feel like you've had 2 bye weeks a lot of seasons, and it's always been like you'll have that last week off, like the first week of December or whatever it
Yeah.
is. You're like, oh, thanks.
Or you'll have week 2 off.
Yeah. No, you get a week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get week 7 and 12 off.
I think they're well timed bye weeks. That's when.
Yeah, they're a month apart.
I wouldn't mind the first one being a little earlier, but I'm good with them.
Yeah, you'll have 6 games under your belt, then you hit a bye week, then you play 4, off again, play 2. So you get the bye week after Arizona, and you're home versus Baylor at TCU. So you get those 2 schools back to back. Only 2 road games in a row, and it's right here, end of October, beginning of November at TCU, at Iowa State, home versus Colorado, and then you hit a bye week. And then November 23rd at Oklahoma State, back home on the 30th for West Virginia. And I'm willing to bet Thanksgiving is that weekend, is it not? November 28th.
I think it's no, because the first day of the month is a Thursday in November.
Mm-hmm. So 2024 Thanksgiving will be on Thursday the 28th. That last game of the season?
No, that can't be right. That's the 5th Thursday, right? It's the 4th Thursday of the month. Right? Oh, crap. Never mind. Friday. The first is on a Friday.
I'm looking at it. It says Thursday the 28th.
You were right to let me bury myself. Thank you.
So, you do have 7 home games, but nobody will see game number 7 in person. What a way to waste it. Thanks, Big 12. And then Big 12 championship game on the calendar, December 7th. Again, glad that you don't have that last week. Everybody else is playing except for you, it feels like. And then you get the Big 12 title game that first Saturday in December. So it does feel like it's a stretched out, like it starts in August, ends in December. 2 bye weeks there in the middle. Back heavy, where you get TCU, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, West Virginia are 4 of your last 5. Colorado sandwiched in there.
I'm just saying, I feel like as a fan, a Texas Tech fan, it's back heavy just in fan interest. I mean, I'm interested to play Arizona State and Cincinnati and Arizona. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not, but
yeah, you get them in 3 consecutive weeks.
Right. But the teams I really want to beat this year are these last 6. You know, Baylor, TCU, Iowa State, Colorado, Oklahoma State, especially since Tech didn't get to play them last year, and West Virginia, who knows that Thanksgiving. Yeah, you know, a couple days after Thanksgiving, there might be quite a few people at the Jones if Joey's got it rolling and West Virginia's able to continue the success they had this year. It's, you know, having to play Oklahoma State and West Virginia back to back, that's going to be a tough test.
Could have some for this team conference title implications.
It could, even if Tech's not involved directly. They could involve themselves if, they go up to Stillwater and get a win against a 8-win Oklahoma State team or 9-win or whatever they might be at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I just wanted to ask you. You already mentioned it's December 7th. Are you penciling it in? Have you got it in pen on your calendar? Have you looked at hotel rooms in Arlington? Or what are you thinking? Are we there yet?
Being that I will probably be there the previous week for Thanksgiving, it's difficult for me to be able to make it back-to-back weeks. So let's just have it penciled in. If work
Just stay there.
if work needs to be done remotely that week, from DFW, I may have to do it.
They have the internet in the Metroplex.
Do they? Maybe.
I think they do.
We'll see.
I read it in a book.
Also, that's 11 months away. Who knows what's happening?
That is a very long time away. It's not as Abilene Christian playing in August 31st is still a very long time away, but yeah, not quite as far as the inevitable Texas Tech versus Iowa State Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
Speaking of Texas Tech versus Iowa State, have you seen who's in the Super Bowl, Spencer?
As long as it doesn't end up the way that the last time these two quarterbacks faced off.
Did they ever face off?
I'm sure they did. Hold on. No, they didn't.
I don't think they did. I think this is all just Cyclone Larry having fun with everyone. I don't think they ever played each other. They may have been on the same team. There's a chance Purdy was like a redshirt freshman or something.
When did he start? Yeah, Purdy didn't get there until 18.
Oh yeah.
So there was a couple years gap there. We got beat in Ames by the linebacker / running back that ran for 1 billion yards.
Yes.
That one day in the ice snow.
Yeah. Might as well have been Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
15-year-old Brock Purdy would have probably
that?
beat Texas Tech 66-10 as well, according to some. I don't know how old Brock Purdy was then. Well, he might have been 14.
Joel Lanning. Golly, Joel Lanning.
Who?
He wasn't even like their starting quarterback. Like their leading passer was Park. Jacob Park.
I mean, it says it's just really, it's incredible what an offense was able to do against, the 128th ranked defense at home. I mean, you just really got to hand it to Iowa State that day. They just really proved something. They proved something there.
Joel Lanning, 17 carries, 171 yards, 5 touchdowns. Also attempted 4 passes, 3 for 4 for 51 yards. Jacob Park was the leading passer on the day, 14 of 18. So they had 5 total incompletions on the day.
Were their jerseys even dirty? Do they even have to wash their jerseys? Maybe from diving into the end zone?
15.3 yards per attempt was the Cyclone passing attack that day. Texas Tech was 5.7 yards per attempt.
Yeah, so that translates to how the Super Bowl is going to go.
Yeah, for sure. No, so there was no overlap there. Just like how there was no overlap at Texas Tech between Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes, but everybody gets that. At least they were close, right? Like Mayfield was out in December. Mahomes was in October or August. But yeah, there was a 3-year gap there between Mahomes and Purdy. Mahomes was playing in and winning Super Bowls by the time Purdy was playing for the Cyclones.
Well, that was something that got brought up to me today. So they this is, let's see. Is this Mahomes's? Yes. So I don't know why Reddit College Football tweeted this today. I guess it was just to make me mad because it worked.
Trigger warning.
Yeah. So they listed this will be both Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes' 5th bowl appearance. I don't know why that made me so angry, but it did. It's like, this is not the same. What are you talking about? And so, yeah, obviously Purdy went to 4, I guess, at Iowa State. And then, yeah, now he's in the Super Bowl, whereas Pat went to 1 at Tech. And he left early, too. But now this is his 4th Super Bowl. So anyway, yeah, I'm just not that I totally took the bait on that one. I don't know why that one made me so mad. Brock Purdy now equals the amount of bowl game appearances as Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, can I rewind for a second?
Yes.
Did you see the schedule announcement tweet from Texas Tech football?
A little bit. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I caught the gist where they were.
So it's like
showing the construction.
Construction update, and they have just photoshopped. They've got the schedule on different shots
like
of the
concrete beam or back where the skid steers moving dirt around or something. Yeah.
Okay, so that opening shot where it shows you what the south end zone looks like right now is like, man, that's gonna be pretty impressive when that's done here in just a few months. I had not kept up with the progress.
You haven't been watching the feed?
I've not been watching the live cam set up in the stadium, but
we just put it on. That's what I do when I get home from work. I just put on the. Where's the remote? I need my feed. My kid and my wife love it. We just watch end zone construction.
Let's see. Is it in the Texas Tech link tree?
I have no idea. I mean, of course I do. It's favorited on my Roku. I just call it the feed. I can say, Alexa, play the feed, and it knows what I mean.
Where's the That's not. Who's got it? Who's running that? The live feed. Stop.
I don't know. I feel like Geo tweets it out a lot, so he might have something to do with it.
Robert Giovanetti.
But it is impressive. I drove past there not too long ago, and just from the Marcia Sharp, you can kind of see a little bit of it. Or especially, not necessarily from the Marcia Sharp, but if say you're getting on the Marcia Sharp from University and you're heading west, so before you kind of dive into the lazy river that the Marcia Sharp can become during a monsoon, you can see very clearly a lot of work going on over there. Yeah. Like you said, it's going to be pretty impressive. Even going to the game I went to, it was UCF. They had so much of the steel up, so you could really get an impression of what it's going to be. But they still had the practice facility up, which of course they did. So now that's all been leveled, and they're redoing all of that as well. And it's just got to be nuts. Not all of the practice facility is leveled, but I think mainly the locker room and weight room and stuff.
The building is gone.
Yeah. The indoor, like the indoor track and the indoor football field they're still up. Of course, those of the indoor performance center, the IPF, is it performance or then I'm facility. Yeah, the IPF, the center, the indoor performance center. That's what that F stands for.
So I found so there are two construction cams. One is facing the training facility. And it's what you would expect right now. It's dark. It's a dirt field right now.
Oh, that's like the third search in my YouTube. Texas Tech basketball, Texas Tech football, Texas Tech construction cam.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up the first one.
There's 3 watching. Me,
There was
you, who else?
There it is.
What other sickos watching this right now? Are you listening?
Yeah, so they got steel up left to right all the way across.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, and they've got part of the tower on the southeast corner up.
Yeah, I've got it topped. The southwest tower is going up. You can see it. It's above. It's rising above.
There's a chat feature here. I should chat to you.
We're just talking to each other in the chat of the South End Zone construction.
You seeing this, bro?
All right. Anyway, so the schedule's out. Spring game is going to be in Midland, which we talked about. Hey, speaking of on campus, let's roll into a quick question here, and open up to all of our fine listeners, because we're not young. We're young at heart, right, Michael? But it's been
correct.
I graduated more than a decade ago, which means I haven't lived on campus in 16 years. My last semester on campus at Texas Tech was spring of 2008. My nephew will be a freshman at Texas Tech. Guns up, love it for him. He'll be an engineering major. Just a brilliant dude. He'll start as a freshman this fall. Ask me, hey, what are some good dorms on campus? I was not going to point him in the direction of the dorm I lived in, although I didn't have any like major complaints. There were ones on campus that were worse. I lived in Sneed, and for those that don't know, it was the one coming in off the main entrance off of Broadway, the first building on the right as soon as you got on campus, in front of the seal and the fountain. It was as a resident of fall of 2007, we were the first resident class to have AC in that building, Michael. 2007. They were still outfitting dorm rooms with AC.
Well, you don't really need it
except for
in August.
A couple of months there in the fall.
Except for the entire fall now.
Oh, dude, we were running that AC.
September was like the hottest September on record. Can you imagine having been in that then?
Yeah, you're like, I'm not spending any time in my dorm room. I'm going to be in like classrooms or
it's going to be in the dining hall,
library
until they kick me out.
Yeah, and then go sweat it out all night with your windows open, hoping for the. Yeah, no. So we 2007. It which may sound like it was a long time ago for anybody that's younger, but
well, it was.
It was also, we were some of the closest students to the football stadium, so it was fairly easy for us to get to games. I think there was one more building just north of us, Coleman, I believe. They did not have AC when I was there.
That's just brutal, man.
The Coleman is the building that's just south of the practice fields if you're coming in off of like Glen and Goodacre, off of University. But we were the next ones back, so we were right there. And I remember, which game was it? Colorado. Yeah, it was a Colorado game that whatever, way overslept. But because we were so close, we were able to get to the game within a couple minutes. We were late. The game had either just started or was about to start by the time we woke up, me and my roommate. And we fast walked up to the stadium. But so the nephew's looking for dorm recommendations. I said not Sneed. Although it does have a Sam's Place, which is pretty it's clutch back in the day. Also helped me gain quite a few pounds because that grill, it's right there, man. So easy to get down there and eat up some fried foods or grilled burgers, or we did a lot of Philly sandwiches off that grill. They're so good. Weymouth, if it's still a male dorm, probably shouldn't go there. The one that's across from the music building, it's new. At the corner of 19th and Boston. Is it Clement? No, definitely not Clement.
Talkington? Or is that a...
Talkington's the one over there by well, hold on.
That's
No.
19th in Boston.
Yes, it's Talkington.
I have nothing to add here. I never went to these. I never stayed in the dorms. I was a transfer student. But my cousin's at Clement Hall right now, and I don't think he hates it. And that's definitely a freshman hall because he's a freshman.
Yeah.
So I can reach out to him, see if he would recommend it. I think he enjoys the cafeteria. Whatever they have to eat there is good.
But is Talkington, is it for freshmen though?
I would doubt
I'm
it.
looking at it, and it's got the same layout as Murray, so it's they're suites, so I would doubt it. Where you got 2 and 4 bedroom suites, where you share one bathroom between 2 rooms, and then you have a living room. Anyways, is it Gates that has like a lot of music students in it? You probably don't want that one.
That's a fair point.
I mean,
might be somebody next door with a French horn just constantly practicing.
Which they shouldn't be, because they're right across the street from the music building. They shouldn't be able to get over to a practice room, whatever.
That's true. Maybe we're assuming things.
But as 2007, 2008 Spencer at Texas Tech was a music major, I can tell you music students are obnoxious, especially if you're not a music major. Yeah, it's Gates. You don't want Gates. If you can get into one of the apartments or suites, I would try that. Carpenter Wells, Gordon, Murray, Talkington, West Village. But I think all those are for upperclassmen. And they're also further away, so they're a little more inconvenient for walking on campus to get to class.
Well, yeah, especially if he's in engineering. My goodness. The key is miles away.
I guess the closest thing to engineering would be Sneed.
Yeah.
Coleman.
Maybe you got to go back to Sneed. Go back and see, it's not so bad. It was great 17 years ago. That was 17 years ago, man. I laugh because I'm older than you, so I can do that.
But hold on though. I mean, how many classes would he have in the engineering key as a freshman?
Depends on what his major is.
Well,
he's going to have a couple.
He's going to, like, don't most engineering students start off as like a general engineering and then kind of specialize once they figure out more what they want? Or am I just talking out of my...
No, you pick one.
Okay. I don't think he's narrowed that down yet.
I remember having, as a transfer, I had like electrical engineering 1301 or whatever. So it was definitely a freshman level class. There were a lot of wet behind the ears kids in that class. I felt like an old man.
There's a ton of engineering programs. I had no idea. Chemical engineering, civil, computer science, construction, electrical, environmental, industrial manufacturing and systems, mechanical, petroleum.
And a lot of the big ones have their own building. And so if he's in electrical, he'll have at least one electrical engineering class his freshman year. Probably both semesters, maybe 2. And that'll be out of the EE building, for instance. And of course, civil has their own.
Mm-hmm.
Engineering tech has their own, but that's not what he's doing. ME has their own, petroleum, industrial, computer science. I mean, everybody has kind of their own building. But then there's some of the hybrid engineering ones where you do kind of take classes in different buildings because you're covering more aspects of it. So let's say you did go get a general engineering degree, which I do think they have. You would probably take classes in all of those buildings at some point. But I would not recommend that. I would specialize in something, because then even if you specialize in something and you kind of feel like you made a mistake, probably you can still get an engineering job in the field you want, as long as it's not light years different out of school, and no one's going to care. They'll teach you what you need to know. Like, oh, they have an engineering degree. We got this.
Yeah. Oh, well, as a music major, obviously I had about half of my class in the music building, and everything else was just spread all over campus. I mean, uh, I had classes in that was it Holden. I had several classes in Holden. I had not engineering. I had economics, and history, and I had something else in there too.
Yeah, he'll need to get very familiar with the math and physics building as well.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, I, I was telling my oldest son, Grayson, about like as a music major, I had to take one math class, and because music majors and then subsequently public relations majors were not STEM heavy degrees, right? So it was like you fulfilled your mathematics by taking a stats class, and I was like, I was taught by a master's student, like a graduate level student who did not speak English. So like,
well, math is, you don't need to in math.
well, and luckily, because stats, like I got the easiest version of stats. Like it wasn't like the statistical analysis or like research based, like you're looking at that kind of stats. No, it was like median, mode, like legit, like the like basest of base level stats.
Mine was stats for engineers because they like to be mean, and it involved calculus.
So I never took calculus. My
I have a
most
math minor. Not even trying to have a math minor. I just have one.
my most advanced math came in my physics class, which I loved physics. It was one of those classes that was like really difficult for me, but it was really practical and it made sense. It was a class that pushed me, like I had to study and memorize things and like work it out, but for whatever reason, the logical side of my brain just ate that stuff up. I loved it. I loved physics. Now, I also, full disclosure, I took physics at a community college.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It was in the time, it was summer. No, it was fall of 2008. So I left Texas Tech. I was preparing to get ready to serve my mission overseas for my church service, which I didn't end up leaving until February of 2009. But I was still taking classes. I was back home in school. I took like a photography class. I took physics. I took some like financial planning class that couldn't tell you besides some like accountant taught, and he was like 75 years old. I was like, this is a waste. I hate this class. I do feel like I took another math class there, and it may have been pre-cal. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, you'll need to be familiar with the key and the quad. Although the quad is only like 3 buildings, so it's kind of a misnomer there.
Yeah, not too bad.
I took. Okay, what were we're gonna have very different answers here because like music major and public relations not science related at all. Also my physical science requirements I fulfilled with physics and geology. And again, I love geology. It was really interesting to me, and I love the lab. I was not smart. I did not take the lab when I took the lecture. Those were in 2 different semesters. I don't know how I got away with doing that. The lab was a little bit more difficult, trying to recall the lecture part of the class, since it was like, I'm pretty sure I took the lecture geology in spring of '08, and then I took the geology lab in like summer of 2010. Like they weren't even close. It was the year of the World Cup in South Africa. I know that because I was like running back to the apartment to go catch games.
Common geology trivia answer.
Anyways, that's a whole lot to do with talking about where to live on campus. You want to wrap this up with what do we learn, Michael?
I guess.
Or did you have something else you want to talk about living
No.
on campus? Or are you just done?
I never lived on campus.
No, I know, but like just experiences as a tech student. Just
No.
relive the time as a.
No, I would. I think he's got the right idea. Go ahead and start at Tech. There are a lot of great things about being a transfer, and a lot of things that probably I missed out on. But I don't know if I'd change it if I could do it again. But it was just, yeah. I think getting the quote unquote full college experience, you probably get a little bit better shot of that at Tech, and your course load's just going to be more spread out. Because by the time I got to Tech, I was taking all engineering classes every semester, and it was brutal. As opposed to, there was no fluff. Like I had already taken all my English and economics and government and all that stuff. I had knocked all of that out in level end, and then I got to Tech, and it's just, okay, all right, here's 12, 15 hours of engineering classes. And physics. Oh, great. Thanks. Calculus-based physics. 2 semesters of it.
I was blended of that. I took all my non-major classes in the summers. So like all my like humanities and
I tried to take electronics 1 in the summer, which means yes, there is a sequel. And I dropped it. I just like, I can't. I was trying to work at the same time, and it was like its own job. I just can't keep up with this. There's no way. And so I went like a week, and I thought that's wild. I'm just gonna work. I would rather work full time and get the money to help me make it through the next semester, as opposed to missing out on 20 hours a week of work to go to this class.
I feel like we could talk several episodes worth about the differences in our experiences as students.
Oh gosh, it'd be a lot different.
Because like, okay, so I started on campus as a music major. I lived on campus, and then when I came back to Tech, I was an electronic media major, and then switched to PR within the semester of starting as a mass comm student. I did all my as many as my non-major classes over the summers as I could, and I did summer school every year. Like when I returned to Tech, I never stopped going to school. I was year-round student. I had on-campus jobs. I worked at Barnes and Noble for about a year. I worked for the athletic department for a semester.
I did some data entry one semester or two.
I got married.
The psych department. I can't remember. Oh, that's kind of a big deal.
I got married as a student.
Yeah.
As a junior. I was 20. I was almost 21.
What year did you get married?
2011.
Dang, you got married before I did.
Yeah, we're celebrating 13 years this year.
Congratulations.
In May. It'll be a minute. Yeah, I also took summer classes that year, and I was like a few days late returning. I was like, hey, I'm going to be out for my honeymoon.
Y'all cool with this?
And my teacher's like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, I got married between terms here, and well, I'll be back for the majority of class. Like the first couple of days, I'm coming back from the beach, man. And they're like,
Spencer just rolls in with beach vibes, just a tan.
Okay, but we take exams every Friday, so like you'll have a lot to catch up on. I was like, cool, no worries.
Cool. I'll be relaxed and refreshed, man.
Yeah. Anyways, we could have several episodes about how different our experiences were. Yeah. Anyways, okay, let's wrap this up. So you talked about Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy playing the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on like the skills based Pro Bowl stuff this weekend? Do you care?
Hang on, I've got to sneeze. Sorry.
I mean,
I promise I do care.
I don't like. I don't miss the previous version, the previous iteration of the Pro Bowl. Like it was an exhibition that meant nothing. Like players didn't try. It wasn't really all that entertaining. So I get why they changed it. But also like these skill based like flag football or throwing competitions, punt, pass, and kick. Couldn't care less.
Well, I don't know yet. I didn't give it a good because this is the second year they've done this, right? I think last year was the first year they really did it with Eli and Peyton, and yeah, the Mannings. In case y'all didn't know, the last year I didn't really give it much of a chance. I think the only time I remember watching it was I was at a restaurant and we were having a family dinner and they had it on the TV, and so I watched some of it, but I couldn't really hear what was going on. And I think they were trying to catch punts and something else. I mean, it's interesting. I think I'm okay with it, but it kind of brings more of I think they've kind of done what the NBA does, which is NBA has several different skill things and then lead up to the actual game. But
which is strange because
it
I don't
probably
mind
grabs my interest more than the Pro Bowl. I'll say that, even though that's not a very high bar. My interest in the Pro Bowl was always very low.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the dunk contest and the 3-point shooting competition. Like I like that. Um, so I mean I don't know. I don't know. I don't love it. I think they're trying to fill a void of a week off where like there's no football. It's like we could probably be okay with there not being any football, but
I think they should have a dunk competition. I think they should have. There's this guy I follow, and I think I've talked about this before. He writes for Up Rocks, and his name's Brian Grubb. And his pitch for All Star weekends or for stuff like that is to have these players, these magnificent athletes, do the other competitions. So like football players hitting home runs or something. You know, baseball players trying to kick field goals or whatever it is. I don't know. Just make it kind of wacky. And I think that's kind of what they're trying to do, but and I'm sure that, Goodell or whoever would have a hernia if they broadcast a dunk competition of NFL players. But I mean, I would probably watch that. Guys trying to do like the biggest cannonball into the pool.
what
There's
if
probably
they
some
did
way that Amazon could figure out how much water's displaced.
like advanced stat cast?
Yeah, their advanced stats of a
What if
360-pound lineman coming off the high dive.
his velocity hitting the water and
Yeah.
Okay, so let's blend this a little bit. What if there was like a pros versus Joes competition, but it like pro in a different sport? So you get football players playing baseball, playing a amateur level adult baseball team.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Or like I mean like you can't do like a 7-on-7 flag football with Patrick Mahomes versus just like a nobody off the street.
Yeah.
Um
But
but
would it
like
have to be a different sport for one?
a 3-on-3 with like Mahomes as like a guard or whatever.
Well, even on the broadcast tonight on ESPN, they talked about some pickleball tournament with like all these. I can't remember any. I can't remember any of the people that they mentioned, but they were all people that I thought, oh yeah, that. I don't know. I might watch that.
It's like Charles Barkley talking about how much he golfs or something.
But it was some pickleball tournament with like famous former softball and tennis players and just famous athletes. that played a different sport, but now they're all competing against each other in pickleball. And I thought, okay, I don't even really know what pickleball is, but I might watch that.
So did you hear about John McEnroe, Andre Agassi, and Andy Roddick and Michael Chang heading back to the courts for a pickleball slam?
There you go.
Yeah. All right, that's long enough, Michael. That'll do it for us, the 23 Personnel Podcast. Getting you ready for next week's matchup versus Cincinnati and Baylor. And what it's going to be like living on campus for my nephew. Anyways, that'll do it for us, the 23 Personnel Podcast. We'll be back on Saturday, most likely, for an instant reaction. For Michael, I'm Spencer. Catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at Michael_LVK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.